around the world to the 3ZZZ World Cup show. My name is Gabriel D'Angelo. It is wonderful to have your company. And speaking of wonderful company, sitting next to me from the Irish Broadcasting Group, coming to a jazz club near you, it's DeArne Leonard. How are you?
I'm great, Gabe, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And sitting next to DeArne from the German Broadcasting Group, coming to a social event near you. Whether you invited him or not, he's coming. Bernd Merkel. How are you, Bernd?
Hi, Gabriel. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. The first round of World Cup matches have finished. There's been quite a few, well, shall we say, results that we were expecting, but some that were extremely surprising. One of them comes to mind, and I wanted to ask you, Bernd.
Rub it in.
Oh, no.
Bernd, so I know that a lot of people probably asked you all week and just pestered you with phone calls and emails and texts. So I'm going to ask you right now the important question: who's going to win the AFLW Grand Final? No, kidding. Germany versus Japan. What the hell happened?
Yeah, fair enough. And I think whole Germany is asking that question. In particular, what the hell happened the last 30 minutes, right? I mean, we were, I would say, to a certain degree dominating the game. We were the better team. We were not outstanding, but we were up 1-0. And although I had in the first half, there were a few counterattacks where I thought we are not as stable in defense. You remember what I said last week?
Yes.
Not as stable as we should, but I thought, okay, it's going to be 2-0, not, as I said, super convincing, but at least a decent start. And then you have to ask Hansi Flick, why these substitutions, you know? So Gündoğan was our leader in midfield, not only because he scored the penalty, but also he was present there in that really central midfield position. And then to take him out, I mean, that was even the bigger question than Thomas Müller. He was not fit. He hasn't really trained the last 6 weeks. But that's definitely a question, in addition to the starting 11 as well. A few question marks on that.
Okay. So you think that the coach has sole responsibility in that performance, or do you also think that some of the players probably disrespected Japan a bit, maybe?
I wouldn't say disrespect. That's probably a bit too much. But definitely the coach made a few mistakes, as I said, and yeah, why playing with Süle right back? He had a few games with Dortmund there, but I think his place is centre back, and Thilo Kehrer, who had most of the minutes under Flick so far, was not on the wing. And yeah, start with Thomas Müller. I mean, looking back, yeah, you can ask about those questions. Was the starting lineup the right one? But yeah, there was a lot missing the last 20-30 minutes, and I think whole Germany is, under these circumstances, in shock.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yes, I watched the match as well, but I think there were some game-changing moments that should have taken place that didn't in that match. From the seat I was watching from, Germany were precision, they were dominating, they probably had 85 to 90% of the possession. It's really the last 20 minutes where everything flipped on its axis in terms of what happened. And look, with a positive spin, both goal scorers for Japan play in the German League and Bundesliga. Yeah. So you've had some influence in what happened with Germany, okay?
Yeah, I think that's the opposite. It hurts even more.
Oh, sorry. But the big game changer for me, like we'll probably have a quick chat about Wales later, but when we're talking about consistency of the referees, the Japan keeper, Tsuchi Gonda, really should have had a red for the penalty where Germany scored. You look at the definition of a red card, it is clearly obstructing someone who is about to score, dangerous conduct and foul language, if you want to just simplify what a red card is. He actually took the German player out before there was a secondary contact that I think everyone saw more of. There was no card issued to Gonda, and I really think that would have made a whole complete different ball game, because to me, Germany did deserve to win that match, and it's unfortunate the last 20 minutes of play out on that pitch for their first World Cup opening match. I still believe in them. I still think they're... And look, another positive spin, if they come out somewhere else in the group stages, the round stages, they may not have the harder run up into the final. Okay.
I mean, I would love to share that hope, to be honest, but after that game, in particular, you know, Japan had a kind of action plan, you know. In the second half, they changed their tactics, you know. They had some substitutions that made a difference. Both players that scored were substituted in, right? And we more or less had the opposite. And we also, not only the defense, we just didn't score, right? If you miss maybe 1, 2, 3 chances, but in one stage you have to score. And that's also then, you can put a little bit of blame on the attackers.
Sure, and well, kudos to Japan.
Yeah,
fantastic
absolutely.
result. In the last World Cup, they beat Colombia, the first Asian team to beat South American opposition in a World Cup. And this time around, they've beaten Germany. So Japan, they're just getting better and better. They're doing really good things. But also, you know, Germany, I understand where you're coming from, but also at the same time, in '82, they lost to Algeria in the first game. They made it to the final. 1990, Argentina lost their first game, made it to the final. Spain, 2010 lost their first game, won the whole thing.
The whole World Cup,
there's hope for you just yet. But just speaking of Argentina, that match against Saudi Arabia, that was one of the best games I've seen. Absolutely amazing match. Saudi Arabia, absolutely fantastic. What did you guys think?
I was on the edge of my seat watching that game. I was up in arms barracking for Saudi Arabia. I must say, as always, and this may be really unpopular, but I'm going to put it out there, I'm not on the Messi bandwagon. Never have been, because I give credit to his hard work, his playing skills, but I cannot stand his Academy Award winning moments. And there were a couple of them in that game against Saudi Arabia where he wasn't even touched, but he went to ground and he was giving free kicks. And thankfully, he didn't actually put them in the back of the net when he was given a couple of those. Yeah. But just the grind of that game and how, let's face it, Saudi Arabia is known for being very hard to score against. And they play a very gutsy defence. They kind of hang and let people come offside, which was happening a lot to Argentina. Their run was too quick in that game. Yeah. And Saudi Arabia just had them contained, and they're just like, bang, goal. Let's go again. And I was just like, I was so happy to watch that match. Yeah, it was on fire.
All you Messi fans, send your emails to DeArne@hotmail.com. But no, you're right. I think they were just really well coached, Saudi Arabia, the way they pushed up their line. And I highly suggest, after you watch our show, go on YouTube and see Rene Havard's motivational speech at half-time to his players at that game. It was absolutely wonderful, but they were just so well coached.
And I think Saudi Arabia, I see it from two perspectives. One is also from an Australian perspective. You know, we played against them in the qualifiers, and I always thought Australia is better than Saudi Arabia, so I have to take that back a bit and say Saudi Arabia is, with all respect, better than I thought, you know,
no,
so
true.
For sure. And the other thing is, those parallels with the Germany team, you know, Argentina, very early penalty, you know, could have finished the game very early and didn't. And then Saudi Arabia suddenly thought, hey guys, we are not down here 3-0, 4-0. We actually have a chance. And it's not about who's going to take Messi's jersey home, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We can win this. And that was really impressive. And Argentina, similar to Germany, they didn't have any response to that. It was just at the end, you know, like, yeah, get another one into the penalty spot. But even Messi, there was nothing. And in the end, a deserved win for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Both Saudi Arabia and Japan, they both deserve their wins. And it's good to see teams from our confederation doing really, really well, because in the past, you know, teams from Asia are usually sort of cannon fodder, but also at the same time, it's sad on our end that we did so badly and these guys did so well. I mean, we will talk about the Socceroos and their performance against France later. Trust me, we'll be talking about the Socceroos and their performance against France a little later in the program.
But one last positive thing, also really, really impressive, the Japanese spectators cleaning up the stadium after the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, in these days, in this world today, so heartwarming, and I must say, my fullest respect.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We have to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we have Nick Hatzoglou from Football Victoria, but first, our friend Brian Yap, who has some important things he'd like to say.
You know what they say, good things come in small packages. And Albert Street Cafe is tiny but mighty. It has the best coffee and sandwiches in Melbourne. To be the best in Melbourne, you have to be pretty good. And they are. Come and see for yourself. Meet the friendly staff and see why this little family-owned business is a giant among the rest. Albert Street Cafe, 306 Albert Street, Brunswick.
Football is a game for everyone, regardless of your race, religion, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, or even your physical impairment. Football is for everyone. Every sporting organisation strives to be as inclusive and diverse as possible, and Football Victoria is no different. And joining us from the Inclusion and Diversity program at Football Victoria, we have Nick Hatzoglou. Nick, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Gabriel. It's wonderful to be with you here today.
It's wonderful for you to be here, and I just want to ask straight off, like, what exactly is the Inclusion and Diversity program at Football Victoria?
The Football Diversity and Inclusion program at Football Victoria encompasses AAA, which is Access for All Abilities, Indigenous football, our First Nations people, history. We've also got Mini Roos settlement program, and wheelchair soccer, powerchair soccer, blind football. There's so many different programs that we run, and really excited. Just in the last 12 months, we've had walking football for our older citizens.
Well, it's
Something for you, Gabe.
No, they're too quick for me. I mean, they go at my sprinting pace, the walking football. But it's great to see that football is played in so many different varieties, that there's so many different options for everyone to participate in. I mean, a couple of months ago, we were at the All Abilities tournament at Knox for the finals from Football Victoria, and it was just an amazing occasion. It was just really, really wonderful to see so many people, so many different walks of life just enjoying the game of football.
No, that's correct, and it was wonderful to have you guys out there, DeArne and Bernd, on that day. It's very uplifting, that program. There's lots of people that want to consume the game in all different varieties, and it's our job to make sure that we've got a program for people to play the beautiful game. And that particular day, you know, you saw the young people, boys and girls, participating, their parents, carers. Everyone was out and enjoying themselves. And there's always a way we can tailor a program to enable people to access football, and that's what we do in our particular department at Football Victoria.
Do you know, on that day, the courage of those children, they blew me away and they stole my heart. About 3 of the kids there, they could have vision impairments, and there were those black balls. They ran with no fear, and they would get that ball and they would play, and just even some of the kids purposely getting yellows from the referee was very endearing. It's such a wonderful and inspiring service to the community for people to have all abilities and play. How does somebody get involved with an all-ability club? Where do they find these clubs? How do they get kids involved?
So the best place to go is footballvictoria.com.au. All the information is on that particular website. I'll repeat that, footballvictoria.com.au. It's packed full of information, all the latest programs, interactions, and ways you can get involved. People can browse. We've also got a lot of stuff that happens on social media under Football Victoria. So that's probably your go-to initial step. You can also call us at Football Victoria. It's you can find the phone numbers, and we'll put you in the right contact or the right person to speak to. But yeah, thanks for those kind comments. We see that it's like I said, it's a very uplifting program, and you know, we do make people's lives, you know, more worthwhile, and they enjoy it and they have a break from their everyday challenges, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah. Nick, it's great these news are. There's also a bit of a sad chapter in terms of what's happening at the World Cup in Qatar at the moment when we talk about diversity and inclusion. How does that make you feel if you see, you know, all the great effort that you put in here at Football Victoria, and then at the world's biggest sporting event, suddenly you have to discuss all this, you know, the rainbow colors and everything. What's your opinion on that?
Yes, it is very controversial, and I've really been reflecting on that and my own personal thoughts I think injustice and non-inclusion anywhere it happens in the world should be highlighted, the light shown on it. And I keep saying to myself, you know, in football and in Australia, we probably haven't taken up the challenge of First Nations people. So we've got our own challenges here in Australia. I think, you know, injustice anywhere, we should tackle it, and Qatar's no different. You know, a program we run proudly is our Pride in Sport, our LGBTI, our rainbow communities. And we do some wonderful work with Melbourne University Soccer Club, Melbourne Rovers, and other particular individuals. So we try and action what we believe, and our motto or our purpose at Football Victoria is football anywhere, anytime for everyone. So we have to live up to that.
It's a great motto. And like you did mention First Nations and Indigenous communities. There sort of seems to be like, I don't know, this is from as an observer, but it sort of seems to be like the AFL and the NRL have this sort of greater connection with the Indigenous communities, but with football not so much. And if there is some sort of community, it seems like with women's football, with the Matildas and female football, there's a far greater connection with football and the Indigenous communities in the female spectrum, but not so much in the male spectrum. Is there any sort of, what are the initiatives from Football Victoria to sort of get a greater traction with the Indigenous communities?
Look, your observations, Gabriel, are spot on. Football has had a few stop-starts in the Indigenous space, but I'm really proud to say that at Football Australia, who's our governing body, has just released their RAP plan, their Reconciliation Action Plan, and they've employed Courtney Hagan, who came over from Cricket Australia. She's Indigenous herself. She's from up Queensland way, and she's doing some terrific work. So we're playing catch up compared to those other sports, but Courtney is really stimulating some really good work, and that's flowing down to the member states. So look out. I know at Football Victoria we've had some cultural awareness training, because it's important that we are empowered and we have the right awareness to be able to go and reach out into the communities. So look out. But, you know, John Moriarty Foundation, and there's been some other national competitions that sit outside the football affiliated bodies that have been doing some wonderful work and carrying the torch. So we just need to combine work together, and I think we'll see some, you know, the talent's out there, both in the women's and boys space. And, you know, hopefully it won't be too long before we've got a Socceroo or a Matilda representative from First Nations people.
And Adam Goods is a part of the John Moriarty Foundation, am I right?
Yes, recently they announced like an advisory body, and Adam Goods, who plays, I'm assured he plays soccer up, I think it's Waverley Way in Sydney with Craig Foster and several others.
It's a decent team.
Yeah, so he genuinely loves the game, and you know, we all know what Adam stands for. He's a great Australian.
And any plans from Football Victoria ahead of next year? We have the Women's World Cup coming to Australia. Is that all again covered by FIFA? And we have seen the good and bad from the FIFA end. Will Football Victoria be involved in any kind of that? Because then the whole lens will be on Australia and New Zealand next year.
That's right. New Zealand and Australia are hosting the Women's World Cup. Very exciting. As you might have heard, we've got the home of the Matildas being built out at Latrobe. It's a purpose-built stadium for women and girls, by women and girls. I've seen presentations and what it's going to look like. It's absolutely amazing. And I think that'll create a huge catalyst for more girls coming into the game. As far as programs go, there's a lot of marketing and promotion being done now with Play Football. You'll see clubs coming out and welcoming women and girls in particular. That's a huge focus of all of Football Australia and Football Victoria. And it's important that we meet those challenges. There'll be a lot of hype and interest in our sport, and we need to create those pathways where people can consume the game in whichever way they want to. And that's a challenge that we're grappling with at the moment, and we're creating different ways people can connect.
Yeah. So we have to go, but before we go, for this World Cup, apart from Australia, obviously? Is there any particular team that you like to support? And please don't say Collingwood.
I am a Collingwood supporter. Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to our game tonight. I just remember that euphoria I felt when we scored against France. You know, it was amazing.
Brief.
Yeah, it was brief, short-lived. But yeah, look, I always love the traditional countries like Brazil and Argentina, even Croatia. I really enjoyed watching them in the last World Cup. So if I had to choose a team that I'd love to see win it, that's a real tough one. I'd probably go for one of the African teams. I'd like to see Ghana or someone, emerge. Yeah.
Well, Ghana's in the same group as Uruguay, so I hope you're wrong. So anyway, no, but good luck to you, Nick, and to Selin as well. He also works with you, Selin Apache. They do an amazing job at Football Victoria with inclusion and diversity, and we just hope that it gets bigger and better and keeps growing. So all the very best to you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nick. We just have to take a quick break, but first we have some words of wisdom from Brian Yap, and after that, our friend Miguel Gill from the Spanish Broadcasting Group.
Bowens, 128 years of customer service, 128 of providing quality timber around Australia, 128 of that big yellow sign, 128 years of being the builder's choice. Bowens are the builder's choice for a reason. Bowens have been helping people and businesses, big and small, right across Australia for 128 years. Need I say more? Okay, I'll say it again. Bowens, 128 years of serving the community, 128 years of quality, 128 years of being the builder's choice. If you need timber and hardware, you know where to go. Bowens, the builder's choice.